in his little data center layer, whatever you want to call it, I could not help but think how much power it would require to run that facility. And the fact he's got multi-layers, he's got alligators in the waters and all those little platforms moving in. That's a lot of moving parts. All of that has got, I'm assuming, like, unless it's purely mechanical, I doubt it. It's got an IP address. I mean, it's hackable, right? Like, but the power behind all that, it's got to be like enormous.
Yeah, well, you see later in the movie that he gives away, his assistant gives away the location of the secret door to get in. So that, even with the best security, you're going to have a human that's going to end up giving it away. What were you going to say, Greg?
I was just going to build upon that. When you think about his location, it's adjacent to water. And a lot of our big cloud providers are building their facilities close to water, helps with cooling. One of the biggest expenses with data centers is not just the power of the infrastructure, but the powering of the cooling to keep the infrastructure from melting. And whether it's his laser beams or the SARs that are coming down, right? Maintaining the environmentals is just as important as providing clean power to all of those resources.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't have a zero carbon footprint.
Elite certified building, I don't think.
I don't think he cares.
This is Technophile Real Talk. Thank you to this episode's sponsor, Checkpoint Software.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Technophile Real Talk. We are back, and today I've got two more friends of mine, Greg and Grant, are joining, and let me just tell you, I think I stalked one of them, and I don't know if you know this, Grant. I kind of stalked you the last, almost a year now. Are you aware of this?
My apologies. I mean, had I known, I'd have turned around.
Or actually, you probably should have run further away. But no, I met Grant last year at a cybersecurity conference. Checkpoint was there, had a huge booth, and I was there with a friend of mine who's a end user, CISO. And I said, "Oh my God, Checkpoint's there. We got to go say hi to everyone." And Grant, you were the only one that actually talked to me. Everyone there at the booth was like, "Oh my God, who is this lady? She's crazy." Because I was talking about, at that point, it was called Checkpoint Real Talk. And they're like, "Yeah, no, we don't want to go on that show. Here, go talk to Grant. Grant will do it." So you're like my Mikey that I've been stalking for the last year.
That's right. That's right. I love all breakfast cereals as well. So.
Ooh, we just dated ourselves, which is okay. Yeah. Greg, welcome to the show. And lucky you, I have just met you, so I don't have the opportunity to say I've been stalking you. So, yay.
Happy to be here. It sounds like Grant needs to do a better job monitoring his online presence.
Yes, that's right. I need some ERM.
Yes, your external attack surface monitoring.
Hey, now I haven't done any attacks yet. But that's because you actually were so gracious. When I saw you at CPX 2025 in Vegas, let me tell you, you actually remembered me. Or you're just like that. You said you remembered me, but that's okay.
No, I remember faces well. I mean, my name recollection fails me often. I'm so glad we often have name tags and the names are big and I can usually pick it up from a distance, but I don't often forget faces.
Well, thank you very much you made my day, because I was like, squeak, Grant remembered me. So, well, if it's any consolation, I ran into Mark Ostrowski. He was on the show as well previously. And
yeah, now that, the amazing Marco, that's worth, making a big deal over.
And everyone check out, I'll put the link below for Mark O's episode. He was so much fun. And I think he was with me with Eric Anderson. So shout out Eric Anderson. Thank you so much. He was on the show as well. I think we did Ocean.
I almost look like Mark.
Oh, stop. There. You know he's going to be watching this. Oh, the gossip.
Well, love you, Mark.
Well, guys, hey, it is such a pleasure to have you. And, this is like one of the fun things about this show is you guys got to pick the movies and TV shows that you guys wanted to do. So I got to ask you, Grant, why did you pick Megamind?
huge Will Ferrell fan. Love the play on words. I think he epitomizes a very nimble, great salesperson in his ability to adapt. I think it's awesome. I mean, how do you go wrong when the superhero is Brad Pitt? I mean, come on, man. It's great. I've always, it's in fact one of 3 movies I have downloaded on my phone, from my own personal library, just because it's one I like to be able to watch whenever.
Oh, that's too funny. I have that myself, and it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Whenever I just feel
Which one though? The first one, second one?
Original. Come on.
The only one that,
Gene Wilder, please.
Exactly.
So, okay, Greg, since we're talking about our all-time favorites, what's yours? Or not all-time favorite, but what's on your rotation that you...
Yeah, true confessions. I have to just mention, Greg didn't participate in the movie selection. I was the one that had that gracious honor. So by no means don't paint Greg with the same stripes that
Well,
you
I have
painted.
to say, Grant, I'm familiar with the movie. I have boys that are 18 and 15 now, so this was kind of right up their alley in the last 10, 15 years. And it's the archetypical superhero story with comedy, spoof, spiff thrown in along the way.
Yeah.
Personally, just from an anecdote, my favorite movie of all time is Spaceballs, which is the ultimate satire and spoof of the classic, sci-fi trilogy. But in this case, it really resonates both the characters, the interplay, and maybe some of the poor decisions that they make that cyber criminals also make as well.
Yeah.
I just got my hair. Yes, I did actually get my hair cut. And when I was there, I was looking and I noticed the Spaceballs helmet, the hair dryer.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh my gosh. You know what?
It's a great movie.
You just inspired me to get that custom made and go to a conference one day just to get attention for whatever it is. Maybe if you're speaking at a panel or something. Oh, you just inspired me. Cause I've always loved that darn big helmet. So anyway.
Oh yeah. That's funny.
Lord Helmet. Different podcast for a different day.
Someone did recommend Spaceballs to review. So that is on my list for those that are uninspired. So stay tuned for that, everyone. We're going to do Spaceballs in the future. All right. So are you guys ready for the first clip?
I am. We are. I am.
Awesome. Here we go.
Miss Ritchie, we meet again.
Would it kill you to wash the bag?
You can scream all you wish, Miss Ritchie. I'm afraid no one can
This
hear
reminds
you.
me.
What? Why isn't she screaming?
Just the whole thing makes me think of
like this. Ah! But that's a poor lady.
That's the lab you're pretending.
The evil lab lair.
You're in the lab practicing. It's nothing like the real thing.
Blinky dials.
Well, and it reveals all the secrets too. It's shows the face, shows the identity, shows the tricks and the tools.
Don't stop! She's using her nosy reporter skills on your weak-willed mind to find out all our secrets. Such tricks won't work on me.
Social engineering.
Temptress.
Wait, what secrets? You're so
Always the
predictable.
assistant who gives out the secret information.
Predictable? Oh,
That's
you
right.
call this predictable?
You're alligators. Yes. I was thinking about it on the way over.
What's this?
This is all the misspelled phishing emails of old, right? The Great Prince.
Juvenile.
Shock and awe.
There is a LinkedIn version of a Prince, a shake that bothers people. I don't know if you've got him. We miss him. He's gotten booted.
Okay, the spider's new.
Spider?
Reuse of tools, tactics, and persistence.
Yes. The spider.
Spider.
Even the small.
The salesperson immediately improvises. Oh, yes. I must be.
That is so true.
Give it up, Megamind. Your plans never work.
Oh. Let's stop wasting time and call your boyfriend in tights, shall we?
It is with great pleasure
Here comes the
that I
ransomware
present to
notification.
Metroland this new museum, if you please.
Just love it. That's obviously the high-tech guy. You know, he can't just use scissors. He's got to use his laser. A message from the CISO.
Okay.
Megamind. Oh, bravo, Metroman.
I am still waiting for the ability to us to fly like that.
I
That's
can play along too. Should have known you'd try to.
Well, they
fix
have the
the part.
jetpacks now. They're just not for person travel just yet.
This is a
okay. So your question, you guys. Okay, the fact that you've got the big screen projecting. Okay, A, where's the projector? And B, is it an internal projector like old school style, or is this like a projector?
No, those are the
somewhere-
robots that flew out of the guys in the field.
Oh, they did. Okay, missed
Cameras
that.
and projectors.
They're rear projectors.
Rear projector or drone projector?
Or this will be the last.
Drone short throw
Never hear of
projectors.
Roxanne Ritchie. Huh?
I think that
Don't panic, Roxy.
it's
I'm on my way.
I'm not panicking.
In order to stop me, you need to find
cameras in the back,
Metroman.
We're at the abandoned observatory.
and there's a guy behind a curtain over on the side. Nice. That actually was really good on, no, that's not where we are, right? Lure them in.
Yeah. They must not have anonymized their location on the internet using Tor.
That's right. NAT. They weren't using NAT at all.
Oh, network address translation. Oh my God. Oh, you know what's funny? How many of our acronyms that we use that like have percolated into the real world? So I remember texting some friends. I'm like, hey man, I'll ping you later. And then one person's like, ping what? And it was just really interesting because I forgot they're not in technology. In fact, they were a Disney cast member. So they were just like totally not of the realm. But one got it.
IDK.
Right? ID10T? Come on now. I know what that means.
I don't know what all those things mean. IDK.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about this clip. Now, we made jokes about it, but like there is this assumption, especially for folks of us like in IT. Like I love the IT crowd. We did a reaction to that the assumption is, IT people are thrown into the dungeon or into the netherworld of things. Or in this case, the, criminal mastermind has this lair, of things. But if you really think about it, if you actually look like at a data center, right, there are cameras and TVs and all that everywhere. It does have a little bit of that war games vibe to it. So is fiction kind of meeting reality a little bit? It might be exaggerated, but don't you think there's some semblance of truth to it?
I think that there needs to be a high level of security, especially when you're in a SOC, right? That's why you see all those cameras. That's why you see all that stuff. I mean, trust no one. So, I think things we've seen for years depicted in science fiction, oftentimes we see come to pass, right? So it's not.
I would also
surprising.
add, though, Grant, the opposite is a little bit true, too. That we see significant physical security controls around a lot of data centers. Many of them lack the proper cyber security controls, whether it's an enterprise data center or a hosted data center, right? If I'm a cloud provider, I'm often trying to protect my resources, but customers are responsible for securing their own. Now, in the physical data centers of an enterprise, they may have end-to-end responsibility, but a lot of times they're just taking a cage out of a co-location provider where that colo provider is not providing the network security, they're providing the physical security to the cages.
Come in, Greg, with the heavy.
But it's true, right?
No, it was perfect. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and I think a lot of people don't understand the nuance. I just had a CISO who was on my podcast, and he was talking specifically about that as being one of the big differences when you go from on-prem to cloud. That just doesn't always sink in right away for everyone,
100%.
the whole access. Well, and I mean, it's kind of like and we talked about this too. The old way of doing things it's hard to break those old habits of creating a group and, oh, you work for Greg? Oh, well, I'll put you in Greg's group, and it's easier. It's simpler. Not always the best, though.
All right, so let's bring this back to Megamind, though, guys, because in his little data center layer, whatever you want to call it, I could not help but think how much power it would require to run that facility. And the fact he's got multi-layers, he's got alligators in the waters and all those little platforms moving in. That's a lot of moving parts. All of that has got, I'm assuming, like, unless it's purely mechanical, I doubt it. It's got an IP address. I mean, it's hackable, right? Like, but the power behind all that, it's got to be like enormous.
Yeah, well, you see later in the movie that he gives away, his assistant gives away the location of the secret door to get in. So that, even with the best security, you're going to have a human that's going to end up giving it away. What were you going to say, Greg?
I was just going to build upon that. When you think about his location, it's adjacent to water. And a lot of our big cloud providers are building their facilities close to water, helps with cooling. One of the biggest expenses with data centers is not just the power of the infrastructure, but the powering of the cooling to keep the infrastructure from melting. And whether it's his laser beams or the SARs that are coming down, right? Maintaining the environmentals is just as important as providing clean power to all of those resources.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't have a zero carbon footprint.
Elite certified building, I don't think.
I don't think he cares. But
that's right.
Well,
he learned that in school.
I don't know that reference. What is school? Oh my God.
It's in the movie.
Shul, right?
That's right.
Yiddish
Yeah,
word for temple.
That's right. And that's what I learned it in a place called shul.
Oh my God.
It's in the movie. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I've actually never, I don't have kids, so I've never gotten to see it. So I've been watching it piecemeal. I haven't had a chance to watch it all the way through because I actually want to be genuinely surprised for it to see it. But, all right. One last point.
Roxanne Ritchie. I mean, she's awesome. She's terrific.
Well, one last thing you'd mentioned on this particular clip that I want to mention, and we already talked about, which is the social engineering component of it. She knew, her, enemy, if you want to call it that, right? She educated herself. She knew all the, attack vectors that would come after her, right? The idea of like the alligator, cliched. Okay, now you're going to do like, these, whatever, the machine gun, whatever, or grotesque. Do you think even this day and age, you guys, do you feel we've educated the masses more, or do we have a more educated masses, or are we still fighting that fight where with every subsequent generation we have to remind people, hey, don't open every email that you receive from mom, right? Or the sheikh doesn't need money from you if they're billionaires. So where does your head fall on that, you guys?
I think there's less informed than there are more informed. I think in general, people are pretty aware of the old fishing, chic kind of, I got $10 million kind of thing. But those are, I think, long gone. I think it's going to get much more sophisticated. I don't believe mainstream populations really prepared for what's out there in the technology and the implementation and utilization of AI and agentic AI. I mean, they're going to kick the shit out of us. I mean, you're going to have, the only way you're going to be able to win is you're going to have to fight fire with fire, I believe.
Greg?
Yeah, when you think about it, Grant, we have both our population of technophiles and technophobes. And on one hand, the technophobes, maybe they've gotten the message not to click on the link, and they're not the ones that are constantly on social media and, responding to those scams. But at the same token, the ability of hackers now to have more highly targeted and customized and crafted attacks, emails, SMS, social media, and then those technophiles who think, oh, I'm digitally native, I understand these things.
Yep.
Well, they're implicitly trusting of more online and social media, which is actually increasing their attack surface significantly.
No question.
Mm.
And I don't really believe people appreciate the enormous number of digital crumbs they leave
Mm-hmm.
In today's world, compared to just 10 years ago. I mean, when you look at every app, banking, they're all implementing biometrics of some sort, fingers, face, right? That data. I mean, I think it's far. I mean, we see this with our own tools, right? How many? Some 500 attributes are looked at from the outside in. This is, I think, a big area that a lot of companies need to do a better job on. They've done a pretty good job from the inside out,
Mhm.
certainly even larger companies. But I think the big risk still is how much those digital crumbs can be assembled, kind of like mercury. If I can put it all in the same petri dish, all of a sudden it all comes together. There's some reconnaissance. There's some powerful information that can kind of come out of that to complement or help arm an attack.
Yeah.
Well, and everybody has their kryptonite, as we'll see here in a little bit with the copper scene coming up, but everyone has their weakness. And when we tell the whole world about it on LinkedIn, social media, again, we're making ourselves more vulnerable to these customized and targeted attacks that may look like they're coming from a known trusted source, but really they're Megamind trying to hack us and, make us ransom victims here.
And your point is really spot on too. I think, it's with Stuxnet, the lighting of the fuse that has become the race between these nation states, right? I mean, there's been a lot of, I've read articles about how that really set off this up spiraling race between these nations, because they went, son of a bitch, I can break shit with this stuff, if I do the right code.
Well,
right. That was a revelation.
I mean, the fact that whole Stuxnet, was we know nation states, have their own arms, and we know that's happening, right? But the idea being recognized, we have admitted that this Stuxnet was clearly not, Joe Schmo teenager's kid having fun, with some script kiddie type thing, right? So, I mean, it was crazy. And the idea, I think we've woken up to a lot of it, but I mean, we're kind of diverging a little bit. I want to pull this back to Megaminds, because it does require Megaminds from here on out to understand, to keep thinking outside the box, because there's always going to be some person that comes up over time that comes up with a new inventive way to penetrate some network, good, bad, ugly, and different, right? We just have to always stay on top of it. So, guys, I know we can talk all day, but we got to get to clip 2. Are we ready for that?
Clip. Yes.
Yep.
All right, let's do it, kids. All right.
Ready the death ray, minion.
Death ray readying.
Over here, old friend. In case
Face.
you haven't noticed, you've fallen
Is this
right
is this
trap.
You can't trap justice. It's an idea.
our release is coming out next month.
Can be corroded over time.
Justice is a non-corrosive metal.
But metals can be melted by the heat of revenge.
It's
I love
revenge,
this
and it's best served
exchange.
cold.
But it can be easily reheated in the microwave of evil.
Well, I think your warranty is about to expire.
Explaining security to the board.
Warranties are invalid if you don't use the product for its intended purpose.
Oh, girls, you're both pretty. Can I go home now?
Of course.
Sounds like
that is if
cybersecurity
Metal
insurance
Man
right there.
Can withstand the full concentrated power of the sun. Fire!
And much like technology arguments, when you really need it to work, it just sits there.
Yeah, exactly. Or, I mean, come on, we always see the bars that are 98%, and
Warming
it
up.
took 2 seconds to get there, but then takes 28 seconds to finish.
This and
Should have brought the enterprise class bandwidth and not the consumer grade cable modem.
Yeah, this was back when we had we said we had a T1, but it was really fractional from.
That's true. This is
Provider.
2010.
Your plan is failing. Just admit it.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Whose side are you on?
The losing side.
Thank you.
Could someone stamp my frequent kidnapping card?
Of all people,
You know,
will we discontinue
Just
that?
made me think about like the whole idea of like bandwidth shaping and all that. Back in 2010, it was still a new thing, right?
What did he just say?
Crab nuggets? Fish
Now, this is perfect example of
Genius. Your dark gift has
a sandbox, or luring you in.
obviously lined with copper.
It's like the honeypot.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah, thanks. The honeypot, exactly.
Oh, it's still loading.
Your weakness is copper? You're kidding, right?
That's so funny. The deception, right? Now who's fooling who?
Here comes the malware delivery system.
That's right. Yeah, diversion, some distraction, slips in through an open door.
That might have been the volumetric DDoS attack right there.
Well,
Right?
let's not get our hopes up just yet.
Look! Metro Man.
Metro Man! Metro
That's when that's airmail delivery of a product you bought online and then you saw it really. Oh God.
That is absolutely 100% perfect. What's that? It's like I call it the Temu of deliveries, right? You sell one thing online and what you actually get's another.
It's similar to online dating, I think, today, but fortunately I'm not into that too much, but I could only imagine.
I had this conversation with someone else the other day. Is like, what a state of affairs of our lives today, where 20 years ago, we made fun of people who did online dating. And then now, fast forward, it's like everyone does online dating more or less in some degree for whatever purposes. I'm just saying it's more accepted than before.
Every part of our life is online, whether it's our grocery shopping, we're booking Ubers, right? I mean, you talked about dating or education. We're using technology now to record this session, whereas 20 years ago, we'd have to go to a studio to do something like this.
And what's also important is now there are websites that you just have to upload a few examples of your voice or a few examples of your face, and you can create avatars. So this recording, while for fun, could potentially be utilized to create a fake Greg and create a fake Greg's voice. And the technology is getting to a point now where it's getting really good.
But that's no different than our conference presentations, whether it's at CPX or industry events.
Agree.
We're recorded, we're archived, we're YouTubed, and we're available for scraping with AI tools to replicate and regenerate ourselves.
But it's going to happen. We haven't seen it happen much. I've got a few examples in a presentation from a site called How to Fly, where they did some deep fakes. And there's a great website called Hey Jen that you can experience it yourself. But this shit's getting, the old, is it live or is it Memorex?
Oh,
I mean, we're back because you're not going to really be able to discern. It's going to be difficult to tell.
it is. I mean, so as a content creator, right? We see a lot of tools that are available and they're great. It helps, just create more efficient, tasks, get them done faster, whatever. That's great. But there is something to be said about whatever tool you use, whatever AI tool you use, is only as good as its programmer originally, they originally coded for, because there's going to be inherent biases. Yeah, the AI is going to learn and etc., but it's still learning from the biases of humans, right? And I wonder, and I'd like to think, no matter how good these deepfakes look and whatnot, there's going to be that like uncanny valley-ish of it where you're like, there's something off. Like the eyes are slightly off, or the tone of their voice is there's something. I would like to think as humans, we should be able to maybe fight or flight it where it's like, something's not right. I'd like to think optimistically, because heaven knows as this as technologies of that nature get better and better, we just have to be more diligent. But I argue, guys, I'm going to say something controversial. You guys ready?
Ready.
I think humans are inherently lazy. I think when they see these deep fakes and they see these types of things, they're just going to want to trust and believe it because it's part of their worldview of thinking, and no additional research is going to be done. And I think that's going to be the big problem. Not so much that we can't detect it. Even if we detect there's some fakery to it, but because of what they're saying agrees with our viewpoint, we'll just accept it as fact. And that worries me.
I'll go one step further. It's our naivete, right? We want to believe, right? We want to believe that video we saw, the TikTok, the YouTube, the Instagram, whatever it is, that's inherently true. I mentioned I have an 18-year-old son, and I feel like most of his facts he gets, are from social media or podcasts or things of that nature.
Especially you want to believe it if it aligns with how you believe, right?
But even if it aligns with your belief, they stop and this is where maybe the laziness comes in, the validation, the fact checking, the cross-referencing. Who was the original source, the data that fed the article, whether it was generated by a human or maybe an AI bot? You talked about the programmer's bias, but the data set that trains AI in conjunction with the models collectively gives the output. And if you don't understand the data that went into the system, let alone the bias of the AI engine, how are you truly to trust and validate the output?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, when I think about how technology is evolving to the point where it's undiscernible between live and Memorex. I mean, look at photographs, for example. Right.
Memorex, can we at least get a DVR or something in here, Grant?
I'm talking about my old 5 1/4. It's or my reel to
reel tape. Sure.
I still have a cassette player, like boombox. We still use it when we play pool in my house. So I have my cassette tapes. I have my own mixtapes I would make.
An 8-track tape, I think, it would be a fun item to set down, in front of a bunch of youngsters, right? It's like,
well, they would think it's a thing of Scotch tape or something like that.
Yeah.
You're totally cracking me up. Okay, bring it back to Megamind. Let us talk about files uploading and executing and like forever, right? That's a common problem, right? That we see oftentimes. I mean, like, I think even today.
It's software. It's no different. Remember, Apple got slammed hard for this when, your battery would say, it's 97%. And then all of a sudden you'd look away and look back and it was at 12. And it was all software, right? And it's the same thing, right? It's when you have that little meter that's saying how much time it's passing. That's all. It's a good guess, but it's not always.
I think it's a psychology tool.
I was going to say, let me take that one step further, because one of the things you saw in the movie clip and we see in the real world is that the actual attacks that are launched don't come from the hacker's den, right? They have their tools and their malware embedded somewhere else in the internet. And they need to invoke this remote command and control to launch the malware, the phishing attempts, the DDoS, etc. And is that communication between the central hub and the brains and those tools on the periphery that ultimately wreak havoc. And if you can potentially disrupt that command and control chain, you can potentially stop the laser beam from shooting down or that cyber attack from being launched.
Good one.
Well, I was actually thinking, hey, the reason why it was uploading so darn slowly was maybe it had a virus.
Maybe their Starlink service was interrupted.
There you go.
Right. Or just just really poor bandwidth.
Well, hey,
Well, it was SATCOM, right? You're having to go from terrestrial Earth all the way out to orbit. That takes a little bit of time. There's a lot more packet loss and latency going up there.
That's right.
so can I tell you my
That reminds me-
Starlink story, you guys? Because this is during COVID, right, when it launched, right? So
Well, it got big, yeah.
I bubbled with another household. There were 3 households. We all bubbled together. So I was at their house and I was going home and walking into my car, and they were in the backyard patio, like, enjoying the night air. And I look up and I see the Starlink for the first time. And I hadn't heard, I think I had heard about it, but I never really, wasn't top of mind. So I'm just like watching, just kind of going and going. I'm like, guys. And I'm like, I said something to the effect of like, I welcome you, overlords. It's like the neighbor, like was wondering what the heck was going on. But anyway, that was my Starlink story. The very first time I saw Starlink. It was different to see. That's for sure. I mean,
I can't even remember the name of the satellite service I had 20 years ago, but God, it was painfully slow.
EchoStar?
I don't know if it was EchoStar or somebody, but I mean, it was, 30 miles up to some satellite. It was, the latency was painful.
You can get decent download, but your upload was always inhibited.
Oh, it was painful, man.
okay. So, well, hey, so I know I could talk to you guys all day long, and Megamind actually was a really fun movie to, like I said, I have been watching parts and pieces. I'm sorry, you guys.
You got to watch it from end to end. You got to watch it. Then you'll understand Shul and some of the other references that I could make. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Okay, so
You might have to watch Fiddler on the Roof first, though.
yes. So, okay. So I asked this of everyone on a scale of 1 to 10, from a technology depiction perspective, how accurate do you think it is? 10 being super accurate, like training in shul, or 1 as pure entertainment. It was entertaining.
I'll go for the 1.
Wow. Not even no in between? 1 to 10?
I was going to give it like a 6 or something like that. I mean, not to say that everyone has access to laser beams.
He's got
space.
a fish inside of a gorilla suit with a swimming inside and then talking. That's a 1, baby.
Well, clearly the alligators and the fish in the bear suit are maybe a 1. I was looking at more from some of the other technology elements in the layer.
Oh, the flashing lights in
and
the
I
back.
can see that being a 6
I'll
or
give it
7.
a 3.
All right.
All right. And okay, another favorite question I have is this was a 2010 movie, I think, right? Or in the 10s.
Yes.
Kids today, would they relate to this as something as a pure entertainment, or do you think it's something of, oh yeah, that's the world they live in?
I'm still kind of closer to entertainment than depicting anything real.
Definitely entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an entertainment movie. Just full disclosure, guys. We've done movies like, Sneakers and Hackers and Her. And
Yeah.
where it's a little bit more philosophical. This was a little harder to get philosophical with.
Yeah.
Well, the animation automatically makes it an entertainment, even though it could be factual in nature.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, hey, so here's something that we could think about. Think about all of the data it would require to run this movie, right? Like, to me, like, this is something where, what movie was it? It was Toy Story, I think 2, I think it was, where literally there was either a fire or something, and the movie was literally saved by a person on leave, and they were working from home, and they had the only backup to a major component of the movie, right? So, I mean, there's definitely some technology aspects to watching these types of movies, because we don't think about the massive storage requirements to run this, and the computation and all those algos to do, like, hair flowing in the wind and all that stuff. I think that's the crazy cool part, I think, of these types of movies as well.
Thank you, Steve Jobs.
Right? Yeah.
It changed the entertainment industry. It certainly from the animation side. I mean,
yeah. Well, I will say, How to Train a Dragon was on HP servers, but I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I think who's the Katzenberg
DreamWorks.
There's See, this is also Megamind is also a DreamWorks production, and one of the things you'll notice, DreamWorks productions, they're a little edgier. They have a little bit more fierce villains. Let's just say the anatomical depiction of the characters might arouse 18-year-olds more so than some other cartoons. I mean, it's just if you look, they're a little edgier. That's just what they do. So
I think it's catering to like understanding the demographics of what you have. And I think that goes back to, quite frankly, and with just technology in general, talking about, knowing our demographics and what's going to resonate better. Cause like me telling my mom, talking about ransomware and the very real challenges, senior community faces, cause they're like one of the biggest demographics that they go after. It can be difficult at times, man. So I think, a movie that would depict that, some of that, like, the seniors would relate to, I think maybe that's a movie idea, guys.
Mhm.
What if we do something?
Well, I had heard that Katzenberg was involved in the production of Toy Story or somehow, and wanted Woody to be meaner, or he wanted more of a fight, I guess, and it kind of went against who's the other Pixel.
Well, that was Pixar.
That was Pixar. Yeah,
well, right. It was,
Pixar.
but there was there's been Katzenberg, Spielberg. Remember, there's been some different efforts. Anyway, I just remember reading about that. I thought it was interesting that he thought that was where they clashed, or didn't necessarily agree with his
vision,
advisement.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that Woody was supposed to be more sarcastic, and then he got vetoed.
Yeah.
So, guys,
well, they needed Billy Crystal, not Tom Hanks, then.
Ooh,
right.
Ooh, that would have been interesting. Billy Crystal. Oh my gosh. Okay. The Princess Bride. Okay, never mind. This is where we're going to keep veering off. You guys, it's been such an absolute pleasure chatting with you. So, I'd love to have you guys back. You guys, if there's any recommendations for other movies, please let me know, or other people you think should join us. I'd love to have that. But on that note, guys, that wraps it up for another episode of Technophile Real Talk. And until next time, see ya.
See ya. Thanks, Syya. See ya. Thank you very much.